we're here. All right, so let me make it public, and then I will share it to you guys, okay? There we go. Yeah.
We're on.
You guys can keep talking because I got to hear your sound. See how you sound.
Hey, guys.
You're running out.
Yes, we are watching.
What is it? Good afternoon or good evening?
I think it's good evening, probably. Nah.
No, still afternoon. It's 4:52.
Late afternoon.
Oh, no, you can't tell what the time changed. Oh, March 11th. Thank God we get an extra hour of sleep.
No, we lose an hour.
No, you can't.
You lose an hour. It's fall back, spring ahead.
All right, no fighting.
I'm
Are we springing ahead?
watching her just work this phone here, so it's pretty impressive.
All right, so guys, it's on your wall, and it's on your wall now, okay?
Okay.
Okay.
All right, kids. Okay.
Oh, everybody sounds good. Okay. That's
All right, and just your volume has to be down if you have your phone here. I hear someone's phone. Aha, this Al.
Of course it
Hey,
would.
Facebook world, how you doing?
How you?
How you doing?
How you doing?
How you doing?
How you doing?
Sound like
Forget
Joey from
about
Friends.
it. Forget about it.
it. Friends, one of my faves. I was watching Friends last night, and I'm on my couch watching Friends for the, I don't know, billionth time, cracking up all alone, laughing. Okay, like an idiot. I've heard the same stuff a million times.
Well, that's like almost watching The Honeymooners. I can recite almost
You're
every
right.
episode.
You're
And
right.
you're still laughing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
Like it's the first time. Phone call?
No, I'm setting it up.
Okay.
Oh, that's
So
right.
when you see that, you'll know.
All right.
When I bring that up, you'll say, "Oh, okay, here's a phone call."
Okay.
We got a
We're
phone
going to
call
be
already?
starting soon, guys. Everybody out there. It's going to be a really cool show.
It's a really big shoe.
I've got some characters on tonight. Yes, I'm not the only comedian tonight.
It's a team effort tonight.
Well,
That's
look,
right,
look,
baby.
look who I know for 20-something years.
They're organic and I watch them.
So,
So,
so.
is it spring out there or winter?
nice,
Today's
right?
spring. Today's spring. What, 66, I think? 68.
beautiful.
70.
Tomorrow's
Tomorrow's
supposed
supposed to be
in the
almost
70s.
75.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
I have to run home and put my shorts on.
It's beautiful out there.
That's why everybody's getting sick and allergies.
Oh, stop it.
I haven't been sick in
Jerry's yelling at me already. We didn't.
Are you 80? 80-year-olds talk like that. My grandmother, my mother.
Come on, look at this. 50 never looks so good.
Youngest guy at his reunion right here.
Yeah, it just turned 51 a few months ago.
There you go.
January 5th.
January 5th. Ah, he's the youngest guy at his reunion. People looking at him thinking, man, he never aged. Look at him. Who would have thought?
All my friends are jealous that I still have a full set of hair.
There you go.
So, I had a guest on, and he's going to be back. Richie's going to be back, our singing. Gino, the one that goes into the old age homes. Richie, remember? Him and his daughter Pam.
Oh, yeah,
He's going to be back, our karaoke guy.
Nice.
You do karaoke up here?
Do a lot. Do whatever. The guy sings, you ready for this?
Uh-huh.
In older age homes. He sings for people, you know, that are really sick in the hospitals, very elderly people, blah, blah, blah. And he gets hit on a lot. Okay? He's older than them. And he looks younger than them. He's got a full head of hair,
Now, are they
no
going
gray
after
hair.
him with their dentures?
No gray hair either. The guy's in his 80s. I've been playing poker with him for years and never knew it. When he told me his
He makes you
age,
look
I thought
sick,
he was
yeah.
lying. I thought he was kidding with me. Remember? That was
He makes
crazy.
you look sick. He makes us look
You know,
like
you know
we're
what you just said in my idea that just clicked.
Okay.
If anybody's listening and knows where I can rent a 1966 Batmobile, because you know I want to give back to the community after being a New York City sanitation worker for 20 years and helping the people in New York get through the winter and all that. To dress as Batman and go to kids' home, like St. Jude Children's hospitals, and put a smile on the kids' faces.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Dressed as Batman with the Batmobile, and maybe let them go out and take pictures with the
Wow.
Batmobile and stuff.
That's
and
really
Yeah,
nice.
that's really
if there's
nice.
anyone out there that knows where I could get my hands on one,
That's beautiful.
Because I just found out, and I was talking to somebody from Florida, some millionaire
Danny,
in Boston
take a photo with our mics on us.
just
and then
bought
text it to me.
a 1966 Batmobile and an 89 Batmobile from the Michael Keaton movie. He lives in Boston, the man, and he's building, he bought a 7-acre property and is building a bat cave in
Yeah,
Boston.
that's cool.
And I would like to meet that guy, but I really want
So is
to.
he going to bring kids into the Batcave?
Thank you.
He's doing the same thing I have the idea for here in New Jersey and New
That's
York.
beautiful.
That's a nice thing.
Yeah, it
And
is.
I
that's-
would like to, put a smile on these kids' faces, seeing a superhero. Johnny Depp does it as Captain Jack Sparrow. So I was.
So
hoping
why'd
to
you
do
pick
that here.
Batman? Is there any particular reason why you
I am
chose
the
Batman?
biggest Batman fan, probably not the biggest, but I got the whole DVD set. I watch it on Saturday nights. It's on at 10 o'clock on MeTV,
Ah,
That's really
okay.
beautiful.
and
So who's your Robin?
superheroes in my life. Hopefully, my son.
Oh, that would be one. Oh, look at now. That would be nice. Look at that. It's a legacy thing. Look at that. You and your
Yes,
son
my
doing
son
it.
Nicholas will be 16. He plays guitar by him. Self-taught himself how to play guitar. He's a good
So he
good
could be
kid.
your Robin. That's pretty cool. Now
If
that's
he's-
nice.
If
Now
he's
that's
watching,
nice,
I love
right?
you, Nikki.
Family affair. I like that.
Yes,
Wow. I'm
it's time to
impressed.
take care of his dad.
I like you even more now.
No,
Why you were
that's
skeptical
just
at first? You were
that's
skeptical?
just me. It's, if my name in Italian, Salvatore Angeletti, means Salvatore in Italian is Savior, and Angeletti meaning angel.
Oh.
Really? Wow.
So,
Well, you were my angel that night.
all the
You
night
were
of Mr.
absolutely.
I can't do Elvis. Richard get mad. at me.
All right. 2 more minutes, guys. We're gonna start. All right. Let's do this.
Well, this intro.
We're
was
gonna
done. We
win
got a
this
chance to learn a
race.
lot about you in this intro. I like this.
Yes, there's a lot.
So,
I'm not going to say anything more about it.
okay, Samantha Lillis says, you do not get sick from the weather. You get sick from germs. Yes, Ava's on. Ava Holly, baby. Hi. And Ava Holly says, what a great idea.
Well, every day like I'm
Batman.
Batman. Look at that.
Batman.
Batman, that's
Aw.
exactly-
To the bat poles.
Yeah, I like
Kelvin Jackson, how you doing, baby? From my high school.
Jackson. I'll be in Jackson 3 years now.
that. Oh,
This
you live in
coming May,
Jackson.
I live
Don't
in
worry,
Jackson.
Kelvin.
Yes.
I'm working on that, Sweet Pea. I'm working on that.
You know how we are. Brooklyn, over the Guinea Gangplank, called the Verrazano Bridge into Staten Island, into Jersey.
Yeah, you got to do the step first. You can't.
Yeah, we gotta do
you
those
You
steps.
can't do the complete.
Nevada might be my next one.
No, Arizona.
Hey, George.
No, I'm
Hey,
okay.
Dominic. You got a lot of musicians. You got a lot of people watching you now. So we have a lot to say tonight, guys. All right, we're going to start the show.
You guys ready?
We're
30
ready.
seconds, here we go.
Okay.
Got your music.
Ready to go.
Ladies and gentlemen, Jerry Petito.
I'm not an addict, I'm just an ass. And in time, this too shall pass. I'm not an addict, I'm just an ass. Jerry Petito taught the class. I'm not an addict, I'm just an ass. Loves the answer, the greener grass. I'm not an addict, I'm just an ass. One day at a time, free at last.
When you don't know just what to do,
Just what to do, just what to do.
if what you're feeling is really true,
Is it really true? Is it really true?
just keep your ideas safe and
Safe
sound.
and sound, safe and sound.
That's exactly how change is found.
Change is found, change is found. I'm not an addict, I'm just an ass. And in time, this too shall pass. I'm not an addict, I'm just an ass. Jerry Petito taught the class. I'm not an addict, I'm just an ass. Loves the answer, the greener grass. I'm not an addict, I'm just an ass. One day at a time, free at last.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Jerry Petito Show on HamiltonRadio.net. George Rockefeller saying there's no sound. Guys, anybody else getting sound out there? George, can you hear us now? I know. Maybe it's Georgie? All right, guys, can you hear us out there? Somebody say yes, please.
Anybody watching? Let's see. Dominic's out there.
Wait, let me type it because no one's answering me. Can you guys hear us?
Well, they're answering you, so they must be hearing you.
No, they didn't answer the question. Let's see. I'm not sure. So let's see what happens. Right. Hello? Somebody answer me out there. George, can you hear us? Anthony Petito, are you watching us? Can you hear us? My cousin, can you hear us? Someone's saying there's no sound out there.
I can hear through these. Perfect.
No, you can hear it on Facebook too.
All right, so I mean, I'm hoping they can hear us. Nobody's answering though.
You want me to put my volume up, see if I hear you?
Go ahead. Hello? Can you hear us? All right, good. So, hi everybody. I hope you can hear us. So, welcome to the
I hope so.
Jerry Petito Show. I am the author of I'm Not an Addict, I'm Just an Ass. If you haven't bought my book, buy it. I know a guy, or else buy my book. Thank you very much.
She will come after you.
So, I have some really cool guests tonight. I'm going to have them introduce themselves and say a little bit about them, and then I'm going to read the poem for my number one guest tonight. Tell everyone who you are.
Good afternoon,
have to
everyone.
talk in here.
Good afternoon, everyone. Rocky Romanella. I'm the author of the book Tighten the Lug Nuts, The Principles of Balanced Leadership. It's a pleasure to be on Jerry's show, and look forward to our discussion this evening. Just a little bit about me. Started at UPS in June 15th, 1976, a part-timer unloading trailers, working my way through college. My dad, rest his soul, said, one of my kids is going to college. It's you, but we got no money. So UPS gave me the opportunity to work my way through college, which was wonderful. I went to St. John's University in Staten Island. I just found out my friend to my right here is from Brooklyn. I'm not from Brooklyn. I'm a Jersey guy who went to Staten Island, school in Staten Island. But my wife, beautiful wife of 36 years, is a Lafayette graduate, so Brooklyn girl. So she would have been very happy to be here to meet you. So worked my way through UPS, retired, and then took a role as a CEO of a company in Pennsylvania. We sold that. And now I'm doing some consulting, some public speaking, and got a chance to write a book.
That's so cool. Well, I'm happy to meet you, Rocky.
I as well.
All right, so to your right,
Who's that? Oh, it's me. How you doing, folks? I'm Sal Angeletti, originally from Brooklyn, New York. You know, if you haven't seen Saturday Night Fever, you know where I'm at. Went to Lafayette High School, moved to Staten Island. I'm in Jersey now, in Jackson. Retired New York City sanitation worker for 20 years, and if the boys and girls are watching out there from the department, God bless you all. Great job this winter, no matter what anybody says. And God bless, and be safe.
and he's my CD guy.
Yeah, don't forget that.
We're going to talk a little bit about him a little bit later.
Elvis lives.
Girlfriend, tell everyone who you are.
Well, my name is Jennifer. I prefer being called Jen. Really, Northern New Jersey native, and hopefully will become a cop by the middle of this year.
That's beautiful. And you're also going to be a guest on my show.
On April 17th.
Yep, and I cannot wait for that show because when people hear your story, it's going to be very empowering, okay? Because you know me, I don't like to do shows where we just give you, somebody's sad story. We make sure that that sad story has a happy ending so people could feel like there's hope out there, right?
Of course.
And
all
your
the
story is unbelievable.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay, Rocky baby, I wrote a poem for you. I
This,
wrote poems for you guys, but that'll be on your shows, okay?
this is
So-
the biggest reason to come on this
That's
show,
right,
by the way.
the poem.
The
People
poem.
love my
People
poems.
love the poems.
Hey
Here we
guys
go.
out there, can you hear us? Just type yes. Can somebody hear me? Jennifer, can you hear us out there? Just tell me yes.
Yeah,
All
hate to have this poem and nobody can hear it.
I mean, come on.
Come on.
All right, so Tighten the Lug Nuts. Of course, I titled your poem. It's
Oh,
the
thank
same
you.
title as your book, right? Okay. Tighten the Lug Nuts is the title of this book. The author's name is Rocky. He wants us to take a look. His fictional character, Joe, is quite an amazing guy. Joe Scaffone's not even real, but the apple of your eye. Rocky was born in New York, but a country boy is he. Dad said we are moving. That's where we want to be. Your dad reminds me of my dad. At 14 to the U.S. they came, proud to be in America and even prouder of their name. Hard workers all their lives, great providers they became. Coming here as immigrants, speaking English they would claim. Your family's names were Rocky, Tony's were all of mine. Pasta and sauce on Sundays with the bread, cheese, and wine. I say gravy, you say sauce, macaroni or pasta too. To Americans, they are different, but are the same to me and you. You grew up like me, grandma and aunts close by. That's what gave us our core, and we were taught to never lie. When I say taught, a wooden spoon was used. They taught us well, but not abused. Catholic grammar school, yes, we both attended. Only I went to public high, the altar boy and you extended. And when I say hi, I really was. You and my brother were good. I became a rebel kid, not behaving like I should. But because of our roots and the families we had, with their incredible love, we could never stay bad. You met your wife, Debbie, in college. Together for 36 years, you made a great life together along with your blood, sweat, and tears. Working with UPS had its ups and downs. Moving 8 times is a lot, many states and many towns. Having 4 kids is amazing, but the best was on its way. Your heart was ready to burst, making you grandparents that day. So now you know that God made sure the amount of kids don't matter. Every time a new one's born, he makes your heart much fatter. You love the Giants, Mets, and Rangers, and also the Jersey Shore. Love eating at Woody's and Papa's, those 2 places I adore. Tighten the lug nuts, I can't wait to read. I do love that title, it's Planting the Seed. Leave things better than you found it is the legacy that you wrote. I guarantee you in 50 years you'll be famous for that quote. That's for you, my friend.
Well, thank you very much.
And
I
an
will go-
autographed copy of my book for you.
Well, thank you, and I will absolutely frame this. This was outstanding.
So tell everybody what happened today as well.
Big day today at the Romanella family. As I've told people before, I was fortunate to have a lot of great titles, but none better than Grandpa. So today we had grandchild number 3, and so we have Nico, Penelope Rose, and Ariana. So a beautiful day today, and really excited. So Jean Marie, my oldest daughter, has number 2.
Beautiful.
And then my son Rocky and Jen are expecting their first March 8th. So we'll have
My
4
birthday's
grandkids.
March 7th. It'll be the 7th. It'll be the 7th.
Ah.
And a Pisces baby. We'd love that.
Oh, that'd be great. That'd be
All
great.
right.
They're all excited.
So,
Aviana Nicole.
I want to just say hi to Wesley Gannett because he's the only one who answered us. Yes, they can hear us. And he's my 13-year-old genius that was on my show last week. Thank you for answering me, Sweet Pea.
Ah, look at that.
So,
So we got an answer that
got
someone
an
can hear
answer.
us. All right, that's a good sign.
All right, this
That's
is
a good
good.
sign.
So let's talk about this book first and foremost. So I really loved when you and I were talking on the phone, some of the stuff that you were telling me. Let's talk about this. So what encouraged you to write this?
You know, this concept for me of legacy is such an important concept. The thought of, do you leave things a little better than you found them, or people better because of their time with you? And I felt like the book gave me that opportunity to take my career and the things that I learned and the wonderful people that I met along the way that helped me, and to try to put down in writing some things that maybe could help some other people. And so that began the book, but I really wanted to do 2 things at the end of the book. And that was, A, thank my dad for all the wonderful things he, taught me growing up as a child, and also to recognize my wife, Debbie, who's been such an important part of my adult life. I mean, without her, we wouldn't have moved. I wouldn't have got the opportunities I had at UPS, because she was always the willing, partner who said, yeah, well, I'm all in. She's always been all in. And every move she made it an adventure for the kids. And I think that, it was difficult for them, and they were great kids. They always went along. We used to always, before our move, I would say, hey, we're going to have a family meeting. And they'd be, no more family meetings. We're going to be moving.
Yes.
But Debbie always found a way to make an exciting adventure for them. And so the book gave me a chance to recognize those 2 so important people in my life. So I enjoyed writing and talking about them, and then, putting in a story form, as you said. I write it in a 3rd person, Joe Scafone. I never liked when someone would bring you an idea and you would say, well, Jerry, that's a good idea, but what if? And I always felt like that sort of stifled idea. So I would always say to people, hey, I think it's good, but what do you think Joe Scafone would think? And so
That's
that was
so funny to me.
Yeah, that was a way for me
Yes.
to challenge you to be the best you could be without, making you feel like I didn't think you had a good idea. And it was funny, as people got to know me over the years, they would come to meetings and they'd say, hey, I already covered this with Joe. Joe thinks this is
That's
a great
great.
idea.
Yeah.
So Joe Scafone became kind of Rocky Romanella's, friend
Alter
and
ego,
partner.
alter
Yeah.
ego.
Friend and partner was always with me.
So I want to say something about Rocky because I put this here and there's some letters on him, and he's famous for saying, it's not, get this right for me, it's not how hard you can hit, it's how hard you get hit and can still stand up.
Yeah.
Something like that, right?
Yeah, it's how you respond to
Yes.
adversity, or how you respond to that punch, so to speak. And we're all going to have them, right? We're all going to have. In fact, failure is what makes us better. I mean, and I think that, it's how your character is defined by how you handle adversity. And it exposes, the flaws that you have, and then you learn from them, and you say, okay, I'm going to be better for it. And people really watch how you handle adversity. Everybody can slam dunk. Everybody can, celebrate. I always tell people the biggest mistake you make in life is you let your highs get too highs and your lows get too lows. You've got to find a way to stay in that kind of range, because you're going to have great days, and you're going to have very difficult days. But if you can kind of maintain this area where you don't let your highs get too highs, your lows get too lows, I think that that really is the measure of success over the long haul.
Okay, and you're absolutely right about that. We have a very similar upbringing. We do. Let's talk about that a little bit, because I'm really, really proud of my family. Coming from Italy and with nothing, right? And building an amazing life, and for their kids as well. So tell me how you grew up.
I grew up in a wonderful two-family house. We lived upstairs, and my Aunt Katie and Uncle Rocky
Yep.
lived downstairs with my cousin Sammy and my grandma. Nonna lived downstairs. And for me, it was always you went up and down the steps, right? I mean, and if you didn't like something your mother made,
That's
you know,
right.
you kind of moved the food around. And she used to always say, geese to an aunt, either this or nothing. So you just moved the food around. But you always knew you could go downstairs, because Aunt Katie always had what you wanted. You had your own special drawer of food and
That's right.
candies with Aunt Katie. So it was great. I grew up there. And, we never thought we didn't have any money. We just thought everything
No
was,
one knew.
No, and it was funny when you said Amerigans, because I remember the first, when I was old enough to walk to the store, my mother said to me, go, here's some money, go buy some American bread. So I went to the store around the corner in Woodbridge. I grew up in Woodbridge, and it was Gabe's. And I said to the guy, hey, I need American bread. And he looked at me and goes, it's all American bread. What are you talking about? I go, I don't know. My mother said I got to get American bread. It's Italian bread or American bread? He goes, I think you mean Wonder Bread. I go, if it's American, I can take it home.
right.
I
It's
got to have
Wonder.
American bread. I don't know what they call it, but it's got to be American.
I agree with
It was
that.
either
though.
Italian or American.
That's
That's all I
right.
knew,
Right.
Or like I used to love kids used to have their name on their, you go to school and they got their brown paper bag and they got their name on their lunch. Not me. I never had mine had the oil stain. I knew it was mine.
That's right.
Plus mine had gabagool and prosciutto. I had no peanut butter. Who had peanut butter and jelly? Nobody would trade with you, right? You'd be like, what do you got? I got gabagool and prosciutto. What do you
Forget
got?
it.
And then you got a half a loaf of thing.
That's right.
Kids with this. And how about the kids that used to cut the corners? Like, I'm thinking, you can't take that off an Italian. You can't take it off a hero sandwich. How would you take the?
It's like when they rip the insides out of the Italian bread.
Yeah. How do you
Oh
take
my
how do you take the
gosh.
corners off a loaf of Italian bread? Come on.
Oh my gosh, that is so funny. I went to Catholic school in New York, and we were only 2 blocks away, so we would walk home for lunch. My mom would come to the school, walk us back, but we were in, I think, 5th grade when we moved, 6th grade, and I stole a couple kids and brought them home for lunch because I felt like they were poor. And I was like, come on, and I steal them, and I walk them home, and my mom goes, what did you do? She goes, all right, let's feed them, but then we got to bring them right back. So we would feed the kids and bring them back, but that's what we did.
Well, it's funny how, and in the book it gave me a chance to talk about it and have a little bit of fun with it. But these are all the things that kind of make who you are as an individual. To me, it was always my dad said to me, when I was really young, you remember him saying to me one day, he said, it's what you do when no one's watching that counts.
Beautiful.
And of course, I said to him, Dad, that's the best part. Nobody's watching. Don't ruin this here. What are we doing here? And I got a good thing going here. And he looked at me, and in his own way, he looked at me and he said, he said, 2 people are always watching. The man upstairs.
That's right.
And he said, and the person looking in the mirror. It's always you look in the mirror. So you always know what you did. And so you have to live with it. And it stuck with me throughout my whole life and career that it's what you do when no one's watching that counts. And in business, if you can inspire your people to do the right things when no one's watching, well, that's really what makes your brand so special out there, right? It's that UPS driver who does all the right things. And there's ways to know that. When we would move around the country, and Debbie was always meeting people, and she would say to me, "Oh, we got a block party to go to. Why don't we go to this block party?" And I'd say, "Well, what do we meet these people for? Then we got to say goodbye. We'll be sad. Let's not know anybody, And like, nah. So she would always win, and we'd go meet people, and then they'd say, "Hey, what do you do for a living?" I'd say, "I work for UPS." And then the next thing happened that to me was the proudest moment for me. They would look at me and say, "Hey, do you know my driver?" And I would think, no, there's thousands of drivers, but just the fact that they knew their driver and they were so proud of their driver meant that our drivers were doing the right things.
That's right.
And that's the brand. It's not UPS management. It's not the CEO of UPS. It's that person who makes the delivery every day, and that's what makes companies great. It's not the leadership, it's the individuals, it's that frontline person who meets the customer. That's the beauty of companies. It's the individuals inside the company, and I think that's what's so important. And I learned that from my dad, who used to always say, it's what you do when no one's watching that counts. And part of what I try to do is inspire people to do the right things when no one's watching. And I had to start with me as a leader doing the right things.
Well, my UPS guy from years ago is still my friend. He's a poker buddy now. I mean, everything was so personal with him. He would look, for instance, on Bresnahan Road in Robbinsville, where we grew up. He would go in your backyard, and then he would leave a note and say, okay, I put it in, by the pool or whatever.
Yeah.
That makes it, you know what I mean? So I'm a person where I like to do everything local anyway. I try to give all the local businesses my business. I do that first and foremost if I can, if possible,
Well, people ask me all the time, I had many jobs inside UPS, and what was what job did I enjoy the most? One of the jobs I enjoyed the most was I was a driver in Plainfield. And I just loved being a driver. And Nonna used to, she used to iron my uniform for
That's
me.
so funny, right?
Yeah, but my uniform was pressed, man. Grandma made sure, Nonna would make sure I looked spotless every day. So I had my uniform all pressed up and my Browns. I was all excited. So that was a great job. I drove into Front Street in Plainfield, New Jersey. It was just a great job, and it gave me a chance. It taught me that, as you take on different responsibilities, take the time to learn the job, so that it's a respect thing, that you take the time to try to walk a day in the shoes of the individuals you're leading. You may not get to their level of expertise, but at least they take a step back and say, well, at least he tried. I mean, we purchased a MBE and then rebranded to the UPS Store Network. One of the first things I did was go work inside a store to try to understand what a franchisee is going through. Because, look, until you've I never owned a store like they did, but you wanted to show them the respect that you were willing to learn.
That's right.
That's all. I mean, and they're some of the greatest entrepreneurs in the world, the UPS store owners. I mean, I learned so much from them.
We grew up in New York too. My dad owned our 6-family house, and of course, family, everyone, Nonna, Grandma, everybody lived in the building across the street, all my cousins for blocks. Well, anyway, when we moved out here and I went to art school in New York, I ended up living at my Nonna's. I drove her crazy, and this is the best story ever, that she's gone now. She lived to 100, but I wasn't smiling then, but I'm smiling now when I think of this story. But my poor Nonna. So I went to art school, and we had to draw naked people. And we walked in, and I was 17, and we walked in, and there were about 6 different models, men and women. Some were 400 pounds, some were really thin, some were different, right? So we're all drawing, and the teacher's pounding on the desk. Don't start at the faces. I only want to see body parts. So the next day, I bring my portfolio. It's in my room at my Nonna's. The next day is painting. I leave the art one there. I walk in the door. She's on the phone with my father. She went through my portfolio, screaming in Italian, pointing to the penises. I'm screaming, Dad, that's my homework. Tell him not to, that's my homework. But Nonna's, they were amazing, right?
They were in charge.
And she still fed me after that.
Oh yeah, well, because you could do no wrong. I would go visit my grandmother.
right.
I could go visit my grandmother in New York, and no matter what job I had, she was so proud of you. And if you were the garbage man, right, you were the best garbage man in the world, and she would tell everybody. It's
That's
just
the
great.
best.
I mean, you just grew up knowing that they were always there for you.
And they were proud of us.
Yeah.
It didn't matter
it
if
didn't
we
matter.
were garbage men. It didn't matter.
No, because the single thing that they were the most proud of was that you worked hard.
That's right.
And that that the key was, were you committed? Did you work hard? And were you a good person, right? So that's their evaluation structure, right? It wasn't,
That's
oh,
right.
did you, how much, whoever talked about money?
Never.
You never talked about money.
Nope.
You talked about, did you work hard? Did you, you had
That's
to, for them, if you had a job was important. And then once you had that job, you were the best at that job.
That's right.
Because you worked hard at it, right?
Sal, how did you grow up?
Oh, should we go way back? My dad's father came from Italy, of course. I believe from Naples.
Yep.
Oh, my father was at Nebelodon.
Yeah, so was mine. What towns, guys?
I don't remember.
Do you remember?
Montemoto.
All right, Avellino. All right, go ahead,
And he
Sal.
came over from Italy, of course. And my father's family grew up on 4th Avenue between Carroll and President Street in Brooklyn. My grandfather's name was Andrew, which is my middle name. And his nickname was Jumbo. And what he did was they had a fruit and vegetable store. And with his white horse and carriage, he used to go around the neighborhood down there and sell the fruits and vegetables to the neighborhood. The whole family's there, all his brothers, his one sister. My mother's father was Tony Monteforti, they were on Fifth Avenue, my other grandfather, and he had a luncheonette and was open for breakfast and lunch. Then they bought the house together on West State Street. So, like you said, it's the grandparents,
That's right.
me and my two sisters, my mother and father.
The best. It was just the best back then
Yeah.
growing up, right?
Growing up in Brooklyn back then was different. Everything is different now,
Yes,
of course.
everything is different.
Well, on Sunday
Yeah.
afternoon, I mean, if you had less than 25 people,
That's
you were
right.
like,
Oh,
nobody's
for,
coming. You
what
would
about
say-
Christmas Eve?
Yeah, nobody's
In-
coming.
in-
The
What
7
happened?
fishes, and
Yeah.
they had the 7
You ain't
fishes.
kidding, because in the basement of
That's
my
right.
house,
Yeah,
we
my
had over
grandmother's.
100 people.
Yeah. Well, you always ate in the basement,
Between
remember? Yeah.
my mother's side of the family was the biggest side of the family.
It was crazy. My dad's.
Took a long
crazy.
time to figure
I
out
believe-
why you smelled
I
that
believe
Christmas
when
stuff.
my
The bacala.
great grandmother passed before she hit 100, they were on either 4th or 5th generation of great grandkids.
That's
Wow.
beautiful.
So your grandmother was 100.
My nonna was 100.
Mine was 99.
Okay.
That's
My
amazing.
mother's mother now will be, I believe, 98 next
Wow.
month.
Okay. And if you ask them, they always say it's because of Noxzema. My grandma used to always say Nagazima.
Oh no, I never really.
Yeah, she'd always say it was because of Noxzema.
That's so funny.
Yeah.
You mean why she looked good, not why
Well,
she lived?
Well, she said she looked good, and she'd always say, I said, Graham, you look great. She Nagazima.
Oh, okay.
Nagazima.
So, let's talk about actually tightening the lug nuts.
Okay.
So the concept of that.
So the book is full of stories, and it's my way of sort of relating the lessons and some of the things that I learned. But so one of the stories in the book, and I won't tell you all the stories. It gives you a chance
I'm
to read
gonna
the
read
book. But the story is that I was going out to visit. I was in a facility in California, as a matter of fact, at the time, and I was going out to visit. In the morning I would walk around. I was the district manager at the time, so I was the senior manager person and we had a problem in the building that, every day a driver would come in before technology and he'd fill out the report that said the vehicle was good. It was the daily
Okay.
vehicle inspection report. And this particular building was struggling a little bit with having the drivers fill it out every day. And so my goal that day was to take a walk and find the automotive supervisor and say to him, hey, look, someone's going to be the best at making these reports, getting them filled out properly. Why not you? You're my guy. Let's get this done. So as I'm walking to meet him, I noticed that one of the vehicles, and you're trained over the years to look at different things on a vehicle, that looked like one of the front wheels, some of the lug nuts were loose. So I went over, and sure enough, and it's not unusual from the vibration and being on the road. So as I'm approaching the supervisor, he's all excited. District manager's here. He come to see me, and I said to him, "Hey, I got a really important job for you. I got a job that I think you're the only person who can get this done. But before that, hey, I think that vehicle's got some loose lug nuts together." He goes, "Oh yeah, I got that. He says, "What's the job? What's the job?" I said, "Well, look, someone's going to be the best at these vehicle inspection reports. I think you're the person, and whatever help you need, you're the guy." He's like, "Oh, you can see he's all excited." I said, "All right, I'll come down in a few days. Let me know how you make out." So a few days later, I go down to find him, and I said, "Hey, where is he?" He's in the office. He had an emergency road call. So I walk in, and I said to him, "Hey, what's going on?" He goes, "I got no luck. Nothing ever goes my way." I said, "What's the matter?" He goes, "A driver called one of the vehicles. He was afraid to move it because the front wheel was loose." I said, "Was that the one I told you?
Oh,
But the
boy.
loose lug nuts?" He goes, yeah, I think so. Nothing happened, thank God." I go, "Well, let me ask you a question. Why don't you just tighten the lug nuts?" He said, "Well, you told me you had this most important job to do." I said, "Well, look, that when the loose lug nuts, when I told you that was important, you let them become urgent. Now you're overwhelmed. Now you got too many things going on. When you let important things become urgent,"
Is this a true story?
yes. So when you let important things become urgent, now the embellishment is nothing happened.
Yes.
There was no accident.
Yes.
And the driver just looked at it and said, "Hey, this thing feels a little loose." So
Right.
he ran out there. The point, but it highlighted the fact that we let important things become urgent, then we get overwhelmed. And so many times, a perfect example, you send me an email and say, "Hey, Rocky, can you send me this information before this broadcast?" At that moment, it's not important. I got 2 weeks before this thing, but I forget about it. I don't take care of it right away. Now, as I'm walking in, you say to me, "Rocky, did you bring the stuff?" I can't believe it. I forgot. Now I'm scrambling. Well, when it was important, I should have taken care of it. Now I let it become urgent. I can only handle so many urgent things. So the concept of tightening the lug nuts is, don't let important things become urgent. When you let important things become urgent, you can only handle so many urgent things, and then you get overwhelmed. And then everybody then tends to, in this, I tell another story, like you're on an airplane and the guy 2 seats over says to you, "Hey, when you get off the plane, do you have a ride set up?" "Yeah, why?" "Well, I forgot to set my ride up." when did you knew you were coming on this meeting? Oh, a month ago.
Thank God for Uber today.
Right, that's what I
Go
mean.
ahead.
So all of a sudden, he's like, I can't believe it. I hope the guy's a good driver. Well, don't worry about whether the guy's a good driver or not. How about setting your car ride up before you got here? Then they compound things by then saying, like this, supervisor, I can't believe it. I got no luck. Nothing ever goes my way. It's not about luck. Should have tightened the lug nuts. Could have walked over there, tightened this thing in 5 minutes, and now you've got all kinds of stuff going on. So the concept is, don't let important things become urgent, because you can only handle so many urgent things, whether it's in your personal life or in your professional life. And that's the problem people have. They let important things become urgent and they just get overwhelmed.
You said something about sending me the information that I asked you for. Jen, this is for you, girlfriend, because you were the quickest one ever. I said, send me some facts when she's on
Yeah.
my show, and she's not even on my show yet. It's April? When is
Yeah.
it's in April.
17th.
And I said, send me some facts, I'll write you a poem in 10 minutes. I got that email back. I was cracking up. I was like, this is great. I wrote the poem that night, but that was unbelievable. I just want to say thank you for that. But as far as what you were saying, you're going to read some things in here about me that you probably won't believe, but I was in my 20s, okay? So when I hit 30, I changed everything about my life, and I made a promise to myself, and I said, I will never allow anyone's nonsense to affect my life. Okay? Now, that doesn't mean I don't help people. I help more people than most. But I will not allow nonsense to affect me anymore. If you tell me you need something from me, I will do it. And if I need something in return and you don't do it, I'm done. I just walk away. I'm not going to make it overwhelm me.
Right. Well, that's a key concept, I think, in life and in business, is never allow anyone to affect you more than you can affect yourself. And I think Bishop Fulton Sheen said once, you are the architect of your own destiny. And so that's so true. I mean, you're the architect of your own destiny. It's what you accept. It's what your vision of what you want to look like. And I think so often, I think in April 18th, I think it is, I'm going to be speaking over at St. Greg's for a career day for the kids in grammar school. And, for me, people always ask you the question, whether it's in grammar school, whether it's in high school, okay, tell me about your career. Do you have any insight into things that you should do, or, any thoughts? And for me, it all comes down to what my dad said to me when I first took my job at UPS. And he told me two things. He said, whatever they ask you to do, say yes and thank you. Mm-hmm. And then he said, learn your job and learn some more. And I think that's so important as you begin your journey in any career or in a marriage or in something that you're taking on. It's, whatever they ask you to do, say yes and thank you. So, you know what? Quit spending all your energy deciding, should I do this, or is this the right way to do it?
Right.
You know what? How about yes and thank you? Thank you very much, and then you learn your job and learn some more. Can I be the best at it? What differentiates me from everybody else? Am I user-friendly in my place of business, or am I the difficult person everybody's got to work with? And you wonder why nobody, asks you to do more things or participate in more things. If you're difficult to work with, who wants to be part of that? Life's too short. Who wants to? I got enough problems without you adding to me. I always tell people, when your problems become the customer's problems, they just leave. They got enough of their own. They don't need your problems as a business.
But don't you think, a lot of what we were taught and a lot of the way we lived back then is gone? Don't you think?
I don't know. I'm a little different. I'm probably going to surprise you on this.
Okay, good.
I'm probably a bigger supporter of millennials than most people would think. I think that I kind of break it down into when I was growing up, or when I was getting a job, if someone said to me, does UPS need Rocky Romanella, or does Rocky Romanella need UPS? I would say, no, I need UPS. I got to have a job, because that's, my father, you got to take care of your family. Next generation, it was probably, no, they need us. No, that company needs us. Today's generation, I think it's somewhere in the middle. I think they start out brighter. I think they're much more prepared.
I totally disagree. Isn't
Their
that funny?
Their technology, they're so good with technology.
Yes.
I think they're very inquisitive. And so, for example, when someone said to me, hey, pack up, you're going to Iowa, it's yes or no, sir, 3 bags full. Whatever, I need the job, right? Okay, hear my dad. Whatever they ask you to do, say yes and thank you. Next generation went, well, why am I doing this? Is this going to give me, am I going to get a raise? Is this better for me? I think the millennials say, well, explain to me why this is a good thing. They challenge you to understand it, but I do find that once you give them the time to explain it to them, many of them will say, yeah, I'm in.
You think that? All right, I haven't found that. This is what I have found. And I've been self-employed since I was probably 22. I had my first beauty salon. And my dad was exactly like that. The customer's always right, and he used to want to beat me, okay? Because I would say things like this, well, they're not always right. And he would say, no, they're always right. So I found my generation more in between.
Right.
I find the majority of millennials, what do you think, Gino, saying we don't need them at all. They need us. That's how I feel. But I, you know, I hope you're right. Listen, I'm not saying I'm right. I hope you are right. Sal, what do you think?
Oof. You know, like you said, it's a whole different way we were brought up. Like, when I was 17 years old, we wouldn't even leave my stoop. I would bring my TV out from the kitchen back in the day, and my friends we would watch the Yankee game on Channel 11. Now it's like, my son is 16, so it's like, I didn't force him to do, you know, you got to play ball, because I never became the pro ball player I wanted to be because I broke my ankle. I promised my ex-wife I would not force my son to do anything. Let him make the decision. And hopefully he sticks by, and he's taking forensic science in high school out in Wilson High School in Pennsylvania. And hopefully, you know, if it's something he likes, great. We were brought up so differently. It's, I don't know. It's a touchy subject.
You know,
I always believe things in life happen for a reason. That's always been. Like you said with your dad, you know, at 18 years old, I went through a rough time. I couldn't sleep. I was writing about the Yankees, sports, and God rest my father's soul. It'll be 2 years he's passed on. He said, Sal, what are you doing about this? He goes, look what you're writing here. You got to do something. If you can't play ball, be an announcer or study the Yankees. Thank you, Jerry, for letting me be here. And this is something I think my father right now is smiling at me and going, it's, you know, there you go. You're going for it. You know, more power to me. And it's, wow, it's such a different world out there. And it's like you said, with the technology nowadays, with the cell phone, and we had beepers, and you got the sports scores on the beeper, and somebody beeped you, you threw a quarter in the phone, and the phone didn't work, and you had to run across the street and find another one, and everybody's like, you know, everybody's got a cell phone attached to their hip and wherever else. But I wish we did have certain things back then. Certain things. And the things that are out there now, it's like, where would we be if we had what the kids have now? Back then, what world would we have back then?
I don't think I would have wanted that.
Would we struggle as much?
I don't think I would have wanted that. You know, this is what I find, and it's sad to me. I don't see that family unit like we had. Okay, first
Yes.
of all, they don't want to watch TV with you. They don't want to sit and talk with you.
The Sunday dinners.
You know, they just want to be on their, what do you call it? Their
Their computers, their
iPads,
Xbox,
whatever all
their
that nonsense is, like
PlayStation.
constant. Okay, they don't. You know, even if you're in the car with them, they're on their phones.
They got the earplugs in the ears.
But I'm in different businesses a lot because of the radio show. I do a lot of scrapbook. I'm always with my photos and all that. And I'm in a lot of the same businesses. So I know a lot of the workers. So I talk to everybody, all the young people. So I love them all, and they're really cool with me. But I've had to yell at a few of them because elderly people came in and they were very disrespectful. And I'm not okay with that. So I see what their attitudes are. And again, I hope you are right. You know, I hope you're right.
Well, I also think it goes back to the question, how do you motivate people, right? So most people answer the question, you treat people, you know, the way you want to be treated, which is true.
Yes, very true.
Which is true morally and ethically, but not in motivation. Because if you think about it for a second, Sal, you're a sports guy. So if Sal and I were working together and I wanted to motivate Sal, I may use sports analogies to help motivate you, right? But if you didn't like math, for example, I'm not saying you do.
I hate it.
Right. Okay.
I wouldn't even understand it now.
Right, but I'm a math guy. I'm not. But if I was a math guy or use math analogies, I would probably turn you off then from a motivational point of view.
You know, not really. I'm the type of person I want to learn.
Okay,
Like,
so
I
then
love to learn. Like if you came over and say, you know, you could one breath talk about the Yankees and then turn the subject into something else, I'm interested.
Right, but if I was going to use math, if I was a math guy and I was trying to motivate you, I would almost use math analytics about baseball.
I would listen.
Right, that's my
Yes.
point. So in today's generation, it's just a different way to motivate them. To me, they're bright. They're
Yes, absolutely.
They're so much more prepared than I was when I started in a work. I mean, think about it. People always say it all the time, "Oh, today's kids, they don't want to work. They don't." I mean, I started working at UPS. I had a ponytail and a beard, and I knew every word to Stairway to Heaven. I probably didn't know who the president of the United States was. I mean, in 1976, I didn't have no clue. I mean, so
76.
right, think about that. June
Bruce Campbell
15th.
hit the home run to beat the
Yeah.
Kansas City
So
Royals.
I mean, I think that it's just a different time, different generation, and it's incumbent upon the leader to understand what it takes to motivate that workforce and
Okay.
try to find ways. Now, look,
Okay.
there's exceptions in everything. Right?
Yes.
When we grew up, there was kids that were troubled and exceptions in our
Far and
generation.
few in between.
Right. Well, maybe, but we had them, right?
Yes,
no matter
we had
what.
'em.
We all could think about those kids. So, and I think what happens today is, you have to just work a little bit harder and a little bit more focused on trying to motivate them. But if you do, I do believe they're much more prepared. They're much more. Yeah, they're so ready for it. Their technology. I mean, I remember when we first went to handheld devices at UPS, and we kept running around and saying, we got to get a guy that understands. Get the guy that understands this. No,
Yeah.
at some point you got to be the guy. You got to understand
Well,
it.
with technology, you're absolutely right.
that's
I mean,
that's
we
like
have
that.
nothing on them with that.
I mean,
It's like that now with the sanitation department. It's funny you said that because now
Even sanitation.
they have GPSs now on the salt spreaders because they change the snow routes around when it snows.
Oh
And
my
they put-
goodness.
Yes, and they put the GPS in the middle of the console of the salt spreader. Make left here, make right. Yeah, so now it's
Oh
the
my
people
goodness.
in New York can go on a certain website, and there's a GPS in the trucks to track if the salt spreader came down your block.
Things are so different.
Yes.
My grandson, and I've said this, he's going to be 17 this month, right? So he grew up, with computers and all this stuff, right? So, and he's got my personality. He's also a Pisces, and he's very sarcastic, which I love. I will ask him a question. He'll be in the car with me alone, and I'll be like, Christian, help me, Mom, blah, blah, blah. He takes my phone. He always does something, messes it up on purpose so that, I get screwed up later. All right. So anyway, he does it all the time to see if I'll figure it out. So I'll ask him a question, and he'll say this to me. All right, me, Mom. Now listen, think it through. There's one of two answers. So pick one. I want to beat them, okay? Because we are afraid of technology. I mean, I am. I'm afraid of technology. So in my mind, I think, well, if I pick the wrong thing, oh my goodness, it's going to be like the phone's going to blow up. It's not, And he's like, me, Mom, let's play a game. Pick one and see what happens. We can't even touch on what they can. So with that, yes, they are absolutely prepared. But they're lazier than we were. Their respect. They don't have the respect we had. They don't. I'm sorry. My grandson does because I beat it into him. I didn't have to, but I would, and he knows that. So the lug nuts. I love this title, and I love now what you explained about where that came up. So tightening the lug nuts, guys, is about anything in life.
well, I talk about the book is not a business book. It's a leadership book. And to me, all of us are leaders at one time or another. And for example, I think some of the greatest leaders are teachers.
Me too.
I went to college originally to be a high school history teacher and a baseball coach. Started working at UPS, and then kind of connected this dot that really the best leaders are those leaders who can inspire their people and sort of have their people connect the dots. And so for me, I never gave up on my teaching passion. It just, the classroom for me was business. But I think that's so important. I'll give you a perfect example. If you want to know if you're a good leader or not, you ask yourself the question, do I leave a legacy? Are people better because of their time with me? Are things, did I improve things as an individual, right? Well, think about a teacher, for example. If I had 20,000 people in an auditorium and said to the group, who's your state senator or who is your state representative? Most people in the room would have no idea. If I said to the people in that room, hey, who's the teacher that made a difference in your life? Everybody stops, tilts their heads, and, oh, 5th grade, Miss So-and-so, or 3rd grade, Mr. So-and-so. Everybody has that
That's right.
teacher who's made a difference in their life.
6th grade, Miss Martin.
There you go. That's legacy.
That's right.
That's what makes a difference, right? You made it a better place. You impacted people, you know, and if a teacher actually ever had the time to write down where all their students are, they would be really proud of where all those students are. I think they are, but I'm just saying that to me is leadership. So to me, being a great leader isn't about the titles CEO or manager. It's about, did you leave it a little better than you found it? Are people better because of their time with you? And for me, you know, I always think about words, right? So people always want, like, how do you want people, what's the one word you want people to use to describe you? Well, some people will say, you know, authoritative, aggressive, decision maker, hyphen. So I guess it's really 2 words. One, here, right? You know what I think is thoughtful. To me, if somebody said Rocky Romanella was a thoughtful leader, I would be very proud of that. Now, some people say, thoughtful, you sound like a bleeding heart liberal. You gave the store away, you know, couldn't make a decision. No, thoughtful means you thought through things, that you looked at the impact for your people, you thought of your impact on your customers. Why not be a thoughtful leader? But nobody wants to be thoughtful because thoughtful sounds like, you got no spine. Well, who listens to a thoughtful guy? You know, he must be, I'm working for Socrates now. No. You think through things. You care about how it's going to impact your people. You care about how it's going to impact your customers. You know, you think about things, right? What's the unintended consequences? You try to think of those things. And so I always challenge people, okay, you want to be thought of as a leader? What's that word you want them to use? Hope it's not knucklehead. I hope it's not, the type of person. How many people you say, would you ever work for them again? I'd never work for that person again. Well, that by itself is an indication of how great you are as a leader. So I think leadership is more than a title. It's not about business. The book is written for all people in the sense of that leadership. And I think so. The greatest compliment, I'd be curious to see, some of the comments you've gotten. The greatest compliment I've received on the book. Person dials you up and says, "Hey, I read your book, thought of my dad."
Oh, I hope I think of my dad when I read. I'm sure I am because I thought of my dad the whole time I was writing your poem.
Yeah, or a good friend of mine called, "Hey, my dad's passed, but I thought about my conversations with him, and you know what? I had really good conversations with my dad. I just never thought of it that way. Do you know what I mean? So that to me is the greatest compliment. Or if you recognize your, like for me, it's if you think about Deb, and for me, if you think about how. I think about her in the book. Hopefully someone says to me, they bought the book for their wife for Mother's Day because they realized, you know what? That's probably the greatest profession of all, being a mom. And I said, that's great. See, that to me are great compliments,
That's beautiful.
Rocky, I do have a compliment for you.
Oh, thank you.
Just listening to it, talking about leadership does remind me of being with my Nana growing up because she was my leader. And answering that question, my word would be being a hero.
Okay.
Because I looked up to her since 2009, and she's always inspired me to never let anything get you down and always keep going no matter how hard the road gets. And I still fight with it today because I struggle with what I want to do and what's going on right now. And it's tough to only have couple of people to turn to, and I want to become that cop where kids could say, she's my hero. Yep. She went through hell and came back, and just kids know, you have somebody to turn to. The world's not a cold place,
Well, and they'll know that because of your honesty of heart, right? They know that about you because you start with an honest heart and with the intention of being the best you could be. And in your world, the best you could be is to be that kind of person that people would want to look up to. That's so important. It's how you start, I think, the journey. It's like, there's a great book out there, Start Right, Stay Right, if you get a chance to read it. And if you think about it, I mean, we started out right probably with our families. We were very fortunate, right? And then you stay right? And so I think that you're starting right. You want to do the right things, right? You have bumps along the way, right? But you found a way to get back to what right looks like and what good looks like. And for you, good looks like being that person that someone could look up to and is not afraid to walk up to when they see you and say, hey, I'm lost and I need some help. Or better yet, you'll notice that they're lost. And I think that's an intuition that's really hard to find.
Beautifully said. You will know that they're lost. That was beautifully said. Wow.
Gotta tell you.
You're already a hero, though, girlfriend. You're already a hero. Because listen, if God forbid you died tonight, right? God's already going to say, good job, because he already knew your intent.
Right.
You're already a hero.
Mhm.
That's how I look at you. Tell everyone when you're going to be on my show.
April 17th.
Okay, let's tell everyone a little bit about yourself, because I really want you guys, I'm going to tell you about a couple shows that are coming up, but I really want you guys to watch this show, okay, with Jen. And I'll have it out there and, you know, force you guys to watch it. So Jen, tell everybody a little bit about what we're going to be talking about. Give them some insight.
Well, first, since I was 6 months old, my father decided to take a walk. And I went the first few years of my life without him. So that's why I came attached to my Nana. And while my mom was working with my other two sisters, Nana always took me to school. Nana was there when I was sick. Even talking about like technology and stuff. Yeah, I had that growing up, but I didn't want that. I shared a room with my Nana.
How old are you?
Now 23.
So you're young.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to be an amazing show in itself because of your age. Because of what you went through not so long ago, you are a hero, and what you are becoming. And you're only 23.
And I took it hard. In 2009, when she died, she went in a matter of 2 weeks. And I was the last person she saw before she went to hospice. And her last words to me were, "I'll see you at home, Tootsie."
I love it. Oh,
And on my wrist is actually Tootsie.
I love that. Jen,
And there's times where like I yearn to hear like my little Tootsie, you know? And sometimes I don't feel like she's gone because I got lucky and
that's right.
she sent me a very good friend of mine who's to my left. He's dug me out of some pretty dark places when I felt like I was ready to give up, you know? And he knows I don't like showing public emotion. And to be there every step of the way, even now, like what I went through getting hurt at work the day before my birthday at that, never thought that was going to be possible. You know, he taught me to never let that disability be the weight around my ankle. Because thanks to him, he's given me the motivation to prove doctors wrong. Like, even like right here, I have a scar. They thought I wasn't going to have a full working arm. And I could lift 50 pounds now. And that's just a bench press.
Yeah, that's pretty impressive.
Oh,
Yeah.
Can you?
Yeah.
I didn't even lift that much in picking up garbage.
I could pick him up. I could pick him up.
So you didn't let it define you. So
No.
that's- She'd be very proud of you.
If anybody's a Kiss fan out there, and I'm a big fan of Kiss, the rock band, Paul Stanley solo album has a song called "Live to Win." If you've never heard that song before, and I made her hear that song, you have to hear it.
Yes.
They
that-
just don't sing songs, you know, rock and roll and I Pyre every day. There are some inspiring songs a lot of musicians write, and I'm
Yep.
another Bon Jovi fanatic, of course, and Kiss. I'm all 80s and 90s, you know, old school rock. If you hear the song by Paul Stanley, "Live to Win," you'll know what I'm talking about, and that's a motivational song right there.
So everybody, this is Sal.
Where? Oh, me.
Sal.
So
Sal's been quiet.
Sal is
Sal's a
also
quiet guy.
going to be my co-host March 1st.
Oh, congratulations, Sal.
We're going
Thank
to
you,
be
thank you. Thank you very
introducing
much. Oh, that's Richard Katz.
a new show. I will be sponsoring him once a month. He will have his own show. Why don't you tell everybody about that?
Yes, March 1st, my passion for wrestling. We're March, this coming Sunday, all you wrestling fans, if you're watching. February 25th, this Sunday from Las Vegas, Nevada, T-Mobile Arena is the Elimination Chamber match and the first ever WWE 7-man in one match in the chamber. You have 4 guys locked up in this cage, and 3 men start, and the winner will go on to WrestleMania 34, which I believe there's 34 of them already.
Okay.
That's Vince McMahon built an empire. He's like a billionaire. He took the company from his father when his father was ill. In 1985 was the first WrestleMania at Madison Square Garden, and he, if I believe the story correct, he had to borrow money just to get Mr. T into Madison Square Garden that night because he was involved in a match with Hulk Hogan. And I've been watching for 35 plus years now. And before they came big, like you said, in St. Mary's Church, there was a match there. Before the WWE came really big, they used to wrestle in school gyms. Now they're in WrestleManias in stadiums. They're at the New Orleans Superdome again this year, and back here in Jersey next year at MetLife Stadium. And the company's just blown up to where they have their own network, and they're on the stock market and their own.
Their own football now?
Yes,
Yeah, that's
the
right.
XFL is back. Yes, in a couple of years. So it's we're going to be talking about not just the WWE itself. There's a lot of indie companies out there. There's a guy out here, SWF, Rob Fury. He's got I saw them Friday night in Jackson. There's a company in Staten Island called WOW, W-O-W, Warriors of Wrestling. Friend Richie and Joe. There's a lot going on, and people who don't like wrestling, it's like, they say it's fake, it's choreographed. Well, these guys do go to a school, and it's not, believe me. One of my biggest wrestlers is The Undertaker, of course.
Uh-huh.
And if you ever watched a thing called Hell in a Cell with Mick Foley back in the day, the man fell 20-something feet off the top of a steel cage. Threw the thing and lost his tooth, came up out of his nose.
He fell on the on the pins.
Yeah,
What they're called.
thumbtacks. But
There you go.
he fell from the top of the cage, and the way he landed, his tooth came up through his nose. And like I was saying, with the wrestlers, they're almost as bad as baseball players. They're on the road 300. No, wrestlers are 240 to 250 days a year on the road, and they don't see their families. That's their job, to support their loved ones. Just like we had a job to support ours, that's what they do, and they get hurt.
I wanna say something. I wanna comment on that because I wanna give a shout out to someone, Jimmy Cavalucci. He is a bodyguard. He's a wrestler, young man, amazing young man. I could never understand wrestling. I always thought, you got to be kidding me. Who wakes up and says, I want to get my face bashed in? And then like the women wrestlers, I was like, no. I had a poker league for 10 years, so we were in bars every night, and they would have wrestling on.
Yeah.
I'd be like, this is crazy. They're all nut jobs. Okay.
It's toned down a lot. There is no more chair shots to the head because of the concussion policy. With the blood and everything is toned down because of they're PG basically now, because the WWE does a lot of work. In December they go on tours for the troops. They do tribute to the troops every December. They'll go to army bases. They literally were in Iran outdoors on an army base putting on matches for the troops. You can see those on their network. And they do a lot of charity work for John Cena right now. The wrestler has more Make-A-Wishes for children than any actor or actress or any sports figure in the entire world.
Well, I think of it differently now. So I meet Jimmy one night. He was Kim D's bodyguard, and we were all having dinner together. And on his knuckles, and he's built beautifully, amazing, but he's not a huge guy. On his knuckles, he has "won't fail." So I said, can I ask you a question? I said, the only time I would ever watch wrestling was when my dad said Tito Santana was on, because he was
Tito.
hot.
I
He was
remember
hot.
Tito.
I got to meet him.
Who doesn't?
Okay? I got to meet him. So anyway, other than that, he made me understand, and he was actually a guest on my show. Now I look at it differently, and he said, wrestlers have a past as well. And he said, it's their way of, how can I say this properly? When they get hit and they can stand there and take it, they feel like they've overcome. They feel that they're not beaten down anymore. So when he explained all this to me, then I said, wow, now I get it. So I don't look at wrestling like I did before.
Yes, Tito.
You know?
I remember Tito Santana.
Yeah.
There's another retired wrestler who's a Hall of Famer now called Diamond Dallas Page. If you heard of DDP Yoga, and
No.
he helps all the wrestlers who've been broke,
Yep.
alcohol, drugs, and he's helped them along. One being Jake the Snake Roberts, Scott Hall, a.k.a. Razor Ramon. You should remember him from back in the day. Tito Santana was another great wrestler, as Jesse Ventura used to call him Chico.
How you doing?
Oh, you don't. Chico Santana used to call him. Jesse
Honey,
Ventura was
honey,
another
honey.
great.
Yeah.
Honey, that used to be the honky tonk man. Used to do all that.
See, to me, the best part of the story, though, is that right now your dad's looking down. He's pretty proud of you. March 1st, you're going to have your first. He always wanted you to get
Yeah,
on
he
the
was-
radio, right? He always
he
knew you
was-
had that.
Who,
you
who
know.
knew I'd be talking about wrestling? I mean, it's come such a long, long way. I mean, baseball, you could. Now, baseball's another thing they want to change.
Why?
I don't know if you heard.
Wait, let's tell everyone. Hold on. The name of your show.
Yeah.
Oh, my alter ego.
Taker 2.
Take it to take over New Jersey. And Jay.
Okay.
And-
Taker 2 takes over NJ.
Yes. Now, where did I get that? You're going to laugh because back in the day, what the WWE used to do was they used to have a contest to dress like your favorite wrestler. So I would put on a long trench coat, wig, hat, and dress as The Undertaker. And 21 years ago at the Garden, I had met The Undertaker, Paul Bearer, and myself were in a picture together. Fast forward 21 years later, back in December, on December 8th, we went to Ace Comic Con Universe in Nassau Coliseum, and Undertaker was there. I'm not going to call him by his real name. He'll kick my butt. And he was there, and I said, we got to print this picture out from 21 years ago. I have to hand it to him.
Yep,
That's
he
so
did.
great.
Got to hand it to him. We go in and meet him. I said, here's a gift from me to you. And he was a little choked up because the manager he had back then
Passed away.
passed away.
Aw.
I said, Taker, here's a picture of the three of us together 21 years ago. And it looked like he was going to cry.
They both were. They both looked like they were going to cry.
And if you go on my Facebook page called Taker 2, there's a tribute to him, The Undertaker himself. And there's other pictures of wrestlers on there as well. And I took my son to an event out by him in Reading, Pennsylvania. And he got me more motivated to do it. So I actually bought the costume that he wears, the whole ring gear stuff, the gloves, the hat, the pants, the jacket,
The wig.
the wig. And I was there, and I was coming down the stairs, which I almost fell on because I couldn't see with the wig on. And this woman comes over to me with a camera. She goes, could you do me a favor? I said, sure, anything you want. I have a group of kids in wheelchairs over here. Would you mind coming over and
That's
taking a
beautiful.
picture?
And he did.
And I said, I will do anything for those children.
Jerry, he was like the spotlight. When I'm telling you, we were standing there and he had this group of kids and people were just like, can we take a picture? Can we take a picture? It was phenomenal.
And back then, 21 years ago, I walked through the streets in Madison Square Garden with that outfit on. And people in restaurants were looking at me like, who the hell is
That's
this guy?
great.
One wrestling company which my friend ran, and how I got back into doing it again was back in 2010. There was a contest to win ringside seats to an event. Sent an old picture of that, won. So I went down with the costume on. Nobody knew who was me. They were like, why didn't you keep it a secret? If I can't, I'm going to come in with that on.
There you go.
I would appreciate
Do
it.
it.
I mean, we have to advertise you.
I will
You need to
definitely-
wear it.
Do a show with that on,
He,
right?
well,
Go-
he's coming in. He's
Yeah, do a
March
show.
1st.
Yeah.
Go on that Taker 2 webpage on
Alright.
Facebook. You'll see me dressed. You're like, this guy
So
is
March
total-
1st.
March
You said,
He's
notice
gonna
I
be
am
dressed
wearing
up.
the man's shirt.
There you go.
You know,
Yeah.
Taker 2 takes over New Jersey, and he will be dressed the part March 1st, guys.
oh, what are you? Oh my God!
Here we go. This is going to
It'll
be
be like a
cool.
sauna in here.
Hey, one thing about
Oh, yeah.
Sal, he's all in.
He's all in.
Sal's all in. When
He's
Sal,
all in, baby.
Sal's all in.
That's like a poker table. I'm all in. You
He's
know.
all in.
So what's
I don't
happening
have a
with
gamble.
baseball?
Oh yes, getting
Why are
back
they
to baseball.
changing
What's going on?
baseball?
You know, it's funny. You make a rule book and then you want to rewrite history,
Why?
which you can't do. The same people are trying now, but what they want to do is they want to. I took my son out over here by the Trenton Thunder game once, and I'm looking at the dugout. I said, "What is that clock by the dugout?"
Yeah.
And they're timing the pitches by the pitcher. I think was 2 minutes 40 seconds or something weird. But they voted. They said no to the clock. Now they're going to limit the manager or pitching coach 6 times a game to go to the pitcher's mound now. So they want to speed up the game. If you
Oh.
wanted to speed up the game,
Okay, that's all you had to say to me.
Why-
See, I didn't
why
understand
would
any
you-
of that other stuff.
Yeah.
why would you want to go with instant replay if you want to speed up the game, which takes more time? All right. It works, don't work. I mean,
Okay.
there was a number of things that I think the MLB did wrong. by having the Astros go into the American League when the Brewers were once
Yeah,
an
that's
original American League team who went to the National League, should have been the ones back in the American League. And you have two Texas teams back in the same division. The Astros and Rangers are in the West, and it looks like the Astros are could be the only team besides the Yankees to throw a repeat, because nobody has repeated since the Yankees. In
How
those
long
3
does
years.
a baseball game take?
And
Well-
well, if it's a Yankee Red Sox game, you're looking at 4 or 5 hours.
So what's wrong with speeding up the game? I would say yes.
I
I
don't mind. I mean, it's the extra innings probably. Some guys, take long at the plate. Nomar Garcia-Parra that guy took almost 20 minutes to
Yeah.
get it. He's fixed his batting gloves. Tap
I
this
think
and
though,
that.
I think I think this is a classic. This is an editorial that may not necessarily represent the view of the station. So let's just say it's Rocky's editorial.
Yes, Rocky's editorial.
See, to me, this is a classic example of you're not solving what the true problem is.
There you
What
go.
you're solving the symptoms. The symptom is, oh, the game is now 3 hours versus Tom Seaver throwing 2-hour game.
Right.
Well, what's the real problem? The real problem is that the beauty of the game was it was a game. Today, there's so many commercials.
It's more business.
It's ridiculous.
Everything is business.
Well,
Right,
now
so
look at the new
you-
stadiums that are built. There's more corporate seats in these stadiums. Now, if you went to MetLife Stadium where we worked, PSL is a licensing fee that you own the seat.
Right.
Now you own the seat. Let's just say Jerry takes a bunch of her friends. Now one of the friends is a troublemaker and causes problems.
that would
you
be right.
you are
There you go.
he is subject to losing that seat now, that license.
Oh,
Yeah.
really?
Yes.
Yeah.
Now if you get thrown out of a game over there, you have to write a letter of apology to the stadium saying, "I'm sorry, I won't do it again." And if you don't, you get caught there, you are now trespassing and subject to arrest.
Okay.
So I
A
guess
lot's happened.
Yeah, so I think the story that to me it all gets back to if you took all the commercials out of a baseball game,
Right.
hypothetically, just for this example, you took out you would do a game in 2 hours. No doubt in my mind, right? But the problem is think about when you watch a baseball game. They don't even come out of the dugout anymore after the end of the inning because the players know that there's 2 or 3 commercials that have to run. So there's no sense me getting out there. If you want to speed the game up, quit having millions of. I'm there to watch a game. I'm not there to watch all the advertisements or whatever. And I understand why the advertisements are there, but my point is, you're going to change the game. Not because of the game. You're changing the game because it's too long because of the advertisements and everything else. I
Right,
think
they don't know what.
no, it's crazy. It's just
And the worst of it is ESPN. Now, when I worked at Shea Stadium and then it became Citi Field later on, they would switch. Let's say the afternoon game at 1:00 is now switched to Sunday night at 8 for ESPN. Now you're looking at a 4-hour game because, like you said, the commercials and ESPN's got it. And I would get out of the stadium at 12:30, 1:00 in the morning, and hopefully get 2 hours of sleep to go to my job with the sanitation the next day.
You would have to shoot me. You should write a second book on teaching them how to fix their problems.
There
I don't,
you
think,
go.
I don't think they want to hear from me. I mean, because it's all about advertising dollars.
Come on, Rock.
It's
You
all,
can do it, Rock.
It's all about the advertising dollars. So it's
Come on, Rock.
yeah, right. We could do this. Book 2, though, I am beginning. Book 2, though, I am
Do you have a title?
not yet, but I got a couple thoughts I'm working on. Deb's been really
Is the
helping
word
me out.
wrench going to be in it?
No. Monkey wrench. Yeah, don't throw a monkey wrench in things. No.
That's,
Monkey-
that's a
monkey
great
business.
title.
Yeah, there you go. there
Monkey
you go.
Business, great Marx Brothers movie.
Yeah, I'm starting to formulate it in my mind. so-
Listen, don't throw a monkey wrench into the lug nuts.
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
That would hurt.
There you go.
So, give us a concept of what your next book will be like.
Well, my problem is, and I heard Sal was talking about it before we got on. He's a big music guy. So I tend to quote music lines as as part of things I'm doing or part of in the. For example, I always tell people you have to be Neil Diamond. I said. So if, I love the line. I knew the gun was loaded, but I didn't think it'd kill. Right, smugglers. So Glenn Fry. So. I'm thinking about I'm not sure I'm allowed to use those lines in a book, but chapters would be something like that kind of
Okay.
concept where, put me in coach, and that chapter would probably be around the person who thinks they're ready for the next promotion or thinks they're ready for the next responsibility. And they're like, put me in coach, but they're really not ready yet. It's those kinds of ideas. And so you would build the chapters around that. So that's kind of my thought process, because I have the lessons in my mind, or the thoughts in my mind of what those lessons would be. And I just thought, some of one of my favorite songs, Hotel California, right?
Oh, my
You
friends.
can check out anytime you like.
It's funny,
but
but
can't
my
never leave.
friends-
That's right. I
Right,
love
they got-
that.
My
right.
friends do a great rendition of that.
You
My
know.
friend's band. Oh,
You can check out anytime you like, but
you
you
know.
can never leave.
And it's funny when whenever I'd get a new assignment and would meet my staff for the first time, so they're all sitting around prepared, right? They're big day, they're going to meet the new boss or whatever, and so you go around, and the traditional thing is, tell me your name, tell me what area of responsibility you have, and how long you've been with the company, right? So I would always add, and tell me what your favorite song is. And people that were 40 years in business, an icon inside the business would be, excuse me, well, what's your favorite song? Well, I don't know if I have a favorite. I got a lot of songs. Let's let's get your favorite. So, and before you know it, people could get to their favorite song or get something close to their favorite song. But it's amazing when you connect the song with the person. There's people, like this one person that comes to mind. I won't say her name. You can't, and her favorite song was, "Rock Me Like a Hurricane," and people are like, "Excuse me."
Scorpions.
Yeah, right. I mean, you're like,
There you go.
that's your favorite song? I mean, because you don't, and so it's interesting. And there's not a lot of doubles. I found that pretty interesting through all the different staffs I had. There's not a lot of doubles. A lot of, I think the biggest double probably would be Elton John, Your Song. Seemed to be one of the more popular. Like mine is American Pie. My favorite song of all time is American Pie. Now,
Such a night, Elvis Presley.
really?
Picture it.
There you go. Look at that. See, everybody, what's your favorite song of all
that's
time?
why.
So.
Depending on the band, Bon Jovi's "It's My Life."
Oh, there you
It's
go.
now or never. We're not gonna live forever.
Now, I will tell you one thing you should never do.
Okay.
Never do this. I could just tell you from personal experience. When your wife, who you love, says to
boy.
you, my favorite song is Journey, Don't Stop Believing, the answer shouldn't be I don't think that's your favorite song. She looked at me like, excuse me? It's my favorite song. You can't tell me what my favorite song is. I'm like, yeah, but hon, I never really heard you singing that song. No, that's my favorite song. All right. So I
There's
learned.
so many good ones out
So
there.
Jen, what's yours?
Mine? It's a band, POD, Goodbye for Now.
See, everybody has one if you think of it. Now, sometimes it could be your wedding song. It's generally not your wedding song, though.
No, it depends on the mood you're in too.
Yeah,
Like if I'm angry, I'll start listening to Metallica.
Oh, yeah.
To feed your anger?
Yeah.
To feed it.
I mean, you probably have a
Gotta
top.
calm down.
Usually, what ends up happening is people they struggle on one, but they can do a top five. Like for me, it's American Pie, then it's Hotel California,
Well, being
Piano
around,
Man.
being around Dad and the Italian families, Jerry, it's Sinatra.
Could be some.
My dad's favorite song was "My Way." So
Oh, that's my
when,
father.
it's funny
I like when Elvis did it, though.
when he passed and the song came on, the Sinatra trial on Sirius, I had to pull over.
Oh.
I couldn't help it anymore. Just pulled the car over and said, "I'll sit here for about 5 minutes."
Well, it's funny. We went this past winter. We Debbie and I, we went and did the Imperial City, so Prague, Budapest, Vienna, for the Christmas markets, and it was just beautiful. And it was really kind of our first trip since retirement and those kinds of things. And we decided to go out and visit the Christmas markets, and so we're in Prague, and we went to an old style Prague dinner.
Okay.
And and it was almost just a little bit more than a year since my father-in-law passed away. Just a great guy, gentleman. He treated me like gold. I loved my father-in-law. And so it's been a little bit more than a year since he passed away. And so we're sitting there, and they're singing all these songs, Czech songs, and all of a sudden she starts singing in, I guess, Czechoslovakian, My Way.
Oh, wow.
And
Oh,
it just
how
was
beautiful.
such a great moment for Deb, and it was just. I was like, hey, Grandpa Tony's here.
Listen, music is life.
Yeah.
Without
Music is
music-
definitely an outlet.
What would we have if we didn't have our music, right? Think about that. Even gospel music. I mean, even the Bible talks about singing. We need music in our
Oh,
lives.
absolutely, absolutely.
You know?
That's right.
So we have about 20 minutes left, guys.
Wow, that was fast.
So,
Hit the rewind button.
You said it's fast. The
Hit the
people
rewi-
listening might have been like, God.
Hit the rewind
thank
button.
God.
Let's do it all over again. Let's
no,
start all
no.
over.
Let's
My-
hope that they thought it went fast,
No,
too.
my people don't want it to go fast. My people are awesome. We have such great listeners out there. Hey, Donnie, we have listeners from other radio stations out there. Donnie Morgan, I mean, he used to be with Hamilton Radio. We have a lot of people listening, guys. So I want to talk a little bit about each one of you again. Let's start with you, Jen, because I really do want to talk a little bit about what we're going to be discussing on our show. Like, I know everything you went through when you were younger. What switched? Where was that aha moment that you said, okay, enough, I'm going to do this and I'm going to better my life? What happened?
Nana passed away.
Okay,
When she passed away, I made her that promise that I would always make her proud.
there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go.
That's when I knew I had to
You're
Bas-
keeping your promise.
basically survive. You know, I would hate myself until the day I die if I don't make her proud.
That's
You know.
beautiful.
That's a great story.
Yes. So you're keeping your promise to your Nana. So everybody should focus on something in their life out there that matters that much more than even themselves. Because you're going to read something in my book. I don't agree with the 12-step program, but I do not tell people not to go to it if that's your only outlet and that's your support system. But I talk about why I disagree with it. I disagree with it because their percentage is so low. It's like 7% of the people that go through those rooms, all right? And the reason why it's so low is they teach you that you're powerless. And they teach you that you have a disease and you will be an addict forever.
That is wrong.
Okay, so they should look at addiction differently today. All right, you are not powerless. And this is the other thing. Two things that I talk about in there. One is this: they tell you that you have to do it for yourself. See, I don't believe that, because if we have to do it for ourselves, we're going to die. We have to do it for someone that means more. We're already hurting ourselves, so obviously we are not the most important thing. So I did it for my kid at the time, okay? So you're doing something amazing for your Nana. See, if we can look for that one person that matters more to us than ourselves, you can do it. You can do anything. The other thing that I disagree with, and this is vital, is they teach you that your family member has a disease, okay? And they'll have this disease forever. Woe is them, right? But then they tell you to throw that addict with the disease to the curb, let them hit rock bottom. They tell you, let them hit rock bottom. Don't give them money, not even for food, not for anything. Throw them out of the house, throw them out. It doesn't make sense. So what they're teaching is contradictory. If your child truly had a disease, or your loved one truly had a disease, would you kick them to the curb and let them hit rock bottom? Absolutely not. So I talk about that in this book. So now, Sal.
Hi.
Hi, baby. Let's talk a little bit
Hi
about
there.
what got you involved in your love and your passion for wrestling.
When I was growing up in Brooklyn, of course, when I lived on West State Street, there was a few doors down an Italian boy named Alfonso. We called him Al.
Okay.
Al used to take me, Mom, yeah, come upstairs. Blah, blah. We would watch. Back then, it used to be on at about 11 o'clock at night. And I just started, watching it with my best friends. And, it started getting there. And I always say, I'll stop watching when The Undertaker retires, which was supposed to be last year. I don't know if he's retired or not. But God bless him, he's 53 years old. He just had double hip replacement.
Is
And
it
it's still going.
really?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. That's a little crazy to me. I didn't expect that.
In New York City last year.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
right.
So what was it, though? Like, what was your connection with it? There had to be something.
Okay, back on December 26, 1983, like it was yesterday. I know the date.
There you go.
Madison Square Garden. My best friend Peter across the street. We hopped on the subway at the time we were the Kings Highway stop on the N train. Rode down to Madison Square Garden, and we used to stop at a big game room down in Penn Station before the matches. Went upstairs. That was the night Bob Backlund lost the title to the Iron Sheik. And 1 month after that, on January 24th, that was the start of Hulkamania.
Okay.
And Hulk Hogan and And that's when I really started to like, okay.
Hulk, of course.
Like I said, now it's bigger. They have their own network. You can watch all those old matches. You know, you pay $9.99 a month. I'm plugging this. You believe this? And you know, and I've been watching ever since. It's like I was a bigger Yankee baseball fan. I loved the sport. I wanted to play when I was in Lafayette, and unfortunately broke my ankle. Didn't, you know, go the way I wanted. My dad was going to send me to Florida to try out with any team. I had a good arm as a third baseman, moved to the outfield. So if I couldn't play ball, announce it. And there's one other sport that doesn't call play-by-play on the radio, and that's wrestling.
Okay.
And my idea to pitch, if I ever went up to the offices in Connecticut there on I-95 to Vinnie Mac, would be, why don't the WWE have a station on Sirius XM and have somebody call the matches over the radio?
If my dad was alive, he would not believe, number one, that I finally have a radio show, because all I did was talk as a child. And he would certainly, I was in trouble every day in school for talking. I should have done this a long time ago. He would certainly not believe that I'm going to have a co-host March 1st talking about wrestling. Dad, I know you're up there smiling because it's true. You can tune in as well. March 1st, this guy, wrestling.
Which guy? Oh, me.
There you go.
This guy.
This
So-
guy over here, over there.
Over there. Rocky,
Come on, Rock.
what is, all right, when I'll tell everyone when I wrote my book what my dream for my book was. So you had to have something inside of you when you wrote this that said, I hope. And I know you want to leave a legacy and all that, but what about your book will make them want to buy this and read this? What can you tell them out there why they need to read this book?
I think a couple things will happen. One is it'll reinforce you do some really good things. That most of us are really good people, just trying to be the best person that we can be, and we do some really good things, but we don't always think about it that way.
Right.
And I think as you go through the book, there will be those moments where you're like, "Hey, I do that," or "That makes sense," or "Hey, that's and that's a good thing. It reinforces." Then I think you'll have a couple aha moments, and those aha moments will be, "Wow, okay." I think I could do things a little bit differently. I could look at things differently. And so, and all of us, as I said, are leaders at one time or another, whether it's in the PTA, whether it's in a Girl Scout, Boy Scouts, we're all leaders. I mean, we're all, we impact people at different
Absolutely.
ways and different times as parents. And so I think that for me, as I had some quite a few aha moments in my career. The one of them I talk about in the book is when I was a child, my parents would take us to Hershey, Pennsylvania, and that was the big vacation, right? Because you could
You
drive
remember
there.
that?
Yeah, and you could.
It's not. Remember those days when we were able to walk through the factory, smell that chocolate. Sometimes you'd get sick.
Oh, it was-
now it's a ride.
Yeah, it was a
You
great.
sit in a little ride now and go around instead of walking through it.
Yeah, but in those days you actually went through the factory, and the factory was under glass. And so I remember it was such a cool feeling. I agree with you, Sal, as a
Love
kid
that
growing
place,
up.
man.
One day I was walking through my facility and I stopped and I looked around and I said, wow, what if could my customers walk in here the way Hershey's customers could walk in unannounced and watch, we watched them making the chocolate.
Right? I remember.
Could
that,
people walk around my facility and will they ever ship a package again? And so from that day forward, I said, I have to create a Hershey factory. I have to make believe that all my operations under glass and any customer can come in anytime and they would use our services again. And from that day forward, I challenged all the people in my care that, hey, you have to build your own Hershey factory. No matter what you did, build your Hershey factory. So that was my Hershey factory aha moment. And then for the book, though, this concept of legacy. So quick story. So my dad when my dad came from Italy, went to freshman high school and then started working in a tool and die factory in Manhattan. And in that tool and die factory, my dad was a jigsaw operator. Uncle Joey was, he was the layout man, and cousin Pasquale actually, bent the steel. So they all worked together. And my dad worked there for over 45 years. And on his last day of work, I remember as a kid, and saying, Dad, today was your last day of work. Did they give you a party, or did they say, no. I said, they didn't do anything for you. And he said, no, I was just so happy to have a job. It was such great. And so he was just so happy and so proud he worked there for so many years. But it always bothered me that they never gave, nothing for my dad, right? So UPS had this tradition that on your 25-year anniversary, you could get a watch, and then that watch would have the UPS logo on it and one diamond on it.
That's cool.
So that Thanksgiving, I remember my dad. We're sitting there at Thanksgiving, and I presented my 25-year
To your
watch to
dad?
my dad.
Oh, I love you more.
So I said, Dad, I never would have achieved this without you. You taught me hard work, enthusiasm, and so he wore that watch every day. Through chemo, and then on my 30-year watch, you could get a second watch with 2 diamonds, and then he gave the 25-year watch to my son Rocky, and then he wore the 30-year watch till he passed, and then when he passed, my son Andrew wears the 30-year watch. So both boys had the watch. Now, just when you thought it was a great story, and so my son Rocky was a assistant hockey coach up at St. Michael's College in Vermont, and then unbeknownst to us, he lost a watch. So now on his wedding day, you know how they give, the couples give each other a gift. Jen and Rocky gave each other a gift, and so the videographer taped it. And so after the wedding, Debbie said to Rocky, "What was the gift that Jen gave you that was so important?" And so
Oh boy.
she says, Jen gave me the watch. So Debbie says, "Wait, that's Grandpa's watch. What do you mean?" She said, "Well, Ma, I never told you this. I lost the watch. And for the last 2 years, I felt I had a cloud over me." Well, Jen, my daughter-in-law, spent 2 years recreating the watch. She called UPS. She called the
Amazing.
company. She recreated the watch, right? Because they could never find it, down to the details, unbelievable. And then before the wedding, calls my son Andrew and says, "Andrew, could you meet me at the cemetery? Because I want you to introduce me to Grandpa. I want to make sure Grandpa's okay with it." So they go to the cemetery, St. James Cemetery in Woodbridge. Andrew introduces, Jen to Grandpa, and then Grandpa, of course, says, Jen says, "Grandpa said it was okay." And so she presented Rocky that watch. That to me is legacy. That's what the book's all
There you
about.
go.
Are people better? Nobody told you. Think about that. Think about that. When people do those kinds of things, those acts of kindness, that's what leadership's all about. That's what makes good people. So for me, it's about legacy, and that's what that's when I began to write the book. It's like, okay, it's about legacy. Do you leave things a little bit better? Are people better because of their time with you? So for me, I feel like that book is what I was trying to do. That you read the book and then and maybe you leave things a little bit better than you found it. But that's the watch story. It's just what a great daughter-in-law. Talk about being a lucky guy. I'm a
Amazing.
fortunate guy. I got 2 great
Amazing.
son-in-laws, Chris and Sean, and a great daughter-in-law. Andrew's got a great girlfriend, and Sarah. It's just that to me is like the greatest story.
Dan, do me a favor. Please hold this book up to the camera. We're going to end the show with this. Tighten the lug nuts. Rocky Romanella, everybody. Yes. It's so cute, right? Right there. Perfect. Go a little higher with the book because my name is on it. Not closer, just higher. Now, all right, that's good. Back further and a little higher. There you go. Perfect.
Don't move it, you move it.
Okay, guys? Tighten the lug nuts. Thanks, Danny. I want to thank everybody for watching the show tonight, and I want to thank everybody here. So I'm going to read this book, and will you come back?
Oh, absolutely. I'd love
Okay.
to take some questions from the
Okay.
audience. And people can email me on my website.
Give them all the information.
It's www.3 and the word 60, SIXTY, managementservices.com. People always send me emails, and it's great because I get a chance to correspond back and forth. And you can buy the book off the website or off Amazon or Barnes & Noble website.
So, Gino, tell everyone about Amazon for both our books, actually. Okay,
Yes.
listen, this is great.
Hi, hey everybody. I'm kind of tearing up here because the stories were amazing. But anyway, yeah, you can go to hamiltonradio.net and click on the sponsor pages and go to the Amazon, and you can buy any book
Yep.
right there from Amazon, and we get a portion. The Hamilton Radio gets a portion, and also the author gets a portion of it. So
So how cool is that?
Best Buy and all the other ones too. Thank you.
Thank you, Gino. So I want to thank you guys for being guests. I'm going to read this book. We'll have you back in the summer.
Oh, absolutely. I'll bring Deb with me.
Bring Deb, please. And I can't wait to read this. So everyone, even women, right?
Oh, it's great. They
Okay,
love
it's
it. Yeah.
great. Okay.
Teachers love it. I mean,
Teacher-
yeah,
okay.
yeah.
So tighten the lug nuts, guys. Okay, Rocky Romanella. Sal, March
Hello.
1st, baby.
Oh, congratulations, Sal.
I'm expecting you to be in costume, darling.
Oh yeah, that's the
Honey,
best.
honey.
I hope I don't scare anyone.
That's the best part
We
of it.
Well,
love
if you hear
that.
somebody fall down the stairs, you know it was me.
All right.
Yeah.
If I couldn't see anything.
I'm in
front of me.
costume now. This is nothing, but you are gonna be in
Imagine that
costume.
one.
Yeah,
We're in
he's gonna
costume
make it.
every day if you think
Right.
about it.
Jen, the date you'll be on.
April 17th.
Okay, so wait till you hear her story, guys.
Well, that's a day after my dad's 2-year anniversary.
So, I want to thank everybody out there, and on that note,
What note?
ciao.
Is this the dating game?
Ciao. Yeah.
Mwah. Ciao.
Dun, 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 dun.